Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your December the 4th, just for today, in a meditation. Hope you're doing well today. Excited to be with you. The title of the meditation for today is God's Will, Not Ours. We know that if we pray for God's will, we will receive what is best for us, regardless of what we think. Now, that comes from the basic text, page 46. By the time we came to NA, our inner voices had become unreliable and self-destructive. Addiction had warped our desires, our interests, our sense of what was best for us. That's why it's been so important in recovery to develop our belief in a power greater than ourselves, something that could provide saner, more reliable guidance than our own. We've begun learning how to rely on this power's care and to trust the inner direction it provides for us. As with all learning processes, it takes practice to pray only for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. The selfish, ego-driven attitudes we developed in our addiction are not cast off overnight. Those attitudes may affect the way we pray. We may even find ourselves praying something like, relieve me of this character defect so I can look good. The more straightforward we are about our own ideals and desires, the easier it will be to distinguish between our own will and our higher power's will. Just for your information, God, we might pray, here's what I want in this situation. Nonetheless, I ask that your will, not mine, be done. Once we do this, we are prepared to recognize and accept our higher power's guidance. Just for today, higher power, I've learned to trust your guidance, yet I still have my own ideals about how I want to live my life. Let me share those ideals with you, and then let me clearly understand your will for me. In the end, let your will, not mine, be done. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. I might have changed from first person to second person. I'm not quite sure, but you know what I mean, right? We're in this together. So let me just say, if I take pauses, it's because my throat is killing me and I'm sipping something really warm to try to get through the meditation. So if it seems like I've paused too long, just bear with me, okay? This meditation now, when I'm thinking about it, God's will, not ours. I love the gist of it, right? We're human beings. We have our own ideals about how things should go. We have our own dreams, our visions, our ambitions, right? We have all of that. And still in the 11th step, we're learning how to ask for the knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out, right? We pray only for knowledge of God's will for us, right? It's hard to pray only for the knowledge of God's will for us. That's where we trip ourselves up sometimes, because just like when I'm doing the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity, right? To accept the things I cannot change, right? The courage to change the things we can. I can switch, right? From first person to second person. I can even go to third person if I want to, right? I could switch, and it doesn't have anything to do with my heart or how I'm actually feeling, right? That is like a faulty cognition, right? Faulty thinking. It has absolutely nothing to do with what's in my heart, right? You ever heard someone say, if I've offended anyone, attribute it to my mind and not my heart, right? So there can be that dissonance sometimes between what we know we're trying to do and what we end up doing. Okay. So the beautiful part about having a God of your own understanding that's greater than you, right? Where you're not your God, right? The beautiful part of that is that God, that higher power is caring for you, loving you, guiding you, and wants what's best for you. You can call it your higher thinking, your higher power. You can call it anything that you want. I actually feel that it's irrelevant what you call it, but also what you acknowledge it to be could put some limits on what you can expect from it. Okay. So as I go into asking for the knowledge of God's will for me and the power to carry that out, I still have the absolute right as a human being to make my own desires known. I would argue that I don't need to do that because the God of my understanding knows all of that, right? But it's something about hearing myself verbalize what it is I'm striving for that causes it to be more, I don't want to say realistic, but once I put it out there, it feels like there's the potential for it to come to pass more, right? It feels that way. So I don't want anyone to feel like, well, is it either or? I pray for God's will or knowledge of God's will, or I pray for what I want. You can do both. You can absolutely do both. But at the end of the day, depending on your relationship with your higher power, when the guidance that you're seeking becomes evident to you, the guidance that you're seeking becomes evident to you, and it's different than what you have said that you wanted, but this is the guidance that you're seeking. When it becomes evident, what will you do? See, let's get cut to the chase really quick. What will you do? Because I can do my 11th step all day long and not mean it, right? I can say it with my mouth and my heart be unattached to it. I can say it because it sounds good, but my heart can be unattached to it, right? So that means that even if my higher power shows me what his will is for me, and even if I do have the power to carry it out, I choose when to actuate that power, right? I have the ability to pop my children some popcorn at 9 o'clock at night, but am I going to do it? No, because I'm concerned about carb intake that late at night, right? So no, I have the ability to do it, but am I going to? I have the power to carry that out, but am I going to? That's why we need to take this particular step. All of the steps that lead to it are serious, but we also need to go deeper into our understanding of the 11th step and figure out, do we still have character defects that are here? There's some people that just act like they know so much about recovery, the 12 steps, the spiritual principles, but they don't have the ability to remove themselves from messy situations. They're always in some mess. You know everything, but you're still caught up in mess in the fellowship. Your name is always closely attached to the mess and the chaos, the gossip, the fighting, and the arguing. Your name is on the top 3 names, but you know so much about the program. See? Do I still have character defects that instead of understanding that when situations come up, this is another opportunity for me to flow with the spiritual principles and not tap into the character defect and act out? After all, right? Supposedly, I've already asked God to remove these from me, the shortcomings, right? But I'm choosing to flow with the character defect and just say, yeah, I was in my disease. No, no, let's just stop. Let's just stop. You were just being yourself. It's not the disease now, because you've already identified these as character defects. You were just acting out because that's what felt more comfortable or safer for you, right? So what I'm saying is I can have an awareness of what God's will is, the knowledge, and I can have the power to carry it out. And I can choose not to pop that popcorn. I can still choose. See, I think one of the most beautiful things about Narcotics Anonymous to me is that it gave me the power of choice back. It gave me the power of choice. But with the power of choice, a heavier weight of responsibility was given as well for the consequences of every choice that I make or don't make. My name is Mighty Stream, and I have enjoyed talking to you today. I really didn't expect for so much to come out of me in regards to this meditation, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And I hope that today you will be thinking about your higher power and learning to trust your higher power's guidance. But not only that, that when you pray, let your will be done and not mine, and you've been given the power to carry out whatever that will is, that you will choose on the side of responsibility, integrity. Because once you've prayed for it and you got it and you don't do it, I believe there's a higher price, a more negative price to pay than the benefit and the rewards, right? The price, the positive price that comes with following through. And that takes integrity to do. Have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to talk to you tomorrow.